So this continuation of our OAF integration with the AOL objects, right? So last time we have seen
Yeah.
messages, lookup, and value set, and we'll see the remaining things today. So we'll start with the DFF.
Okay.
Okay. So in Oracle ARP, DFF means like a descriptive flexi field. So the purpose of the flexi field is to like to extend the existing applications rather than like changing any code, right? Just enable the appropriate attributes so that they'll get displayed in the page. So now here we'll not concentrate on how do we define the DFF. We'll just see how do we display an existing DFF in OAF page. Okay, because the reason is
Okay.
why should we know this particular concept is because in real time designing an OAF page with a flexi field, it can be a rare case requirement, but you will have a requirement to modify the pages. I mean to say, like, let us say you have a seeded page, you have a DFF in that. There's a chance that you may have to have a extension to control the behavior of that particular field or maybe the page. So you will have those kind of requirements. So we have to know how do we control the behavior of DFF component, or how at least how do we get a value, or how does it get stored in the database. Okay, that's the logic we'll try to see.
Okay.
So generally DFF will have, if you consider any DFF of the seeded one, so it will have the attribute, right? It will have attributes, attribute 1 to 15. It will have the attribute category, right? And some more extra information based on the
Yeah.
DFF. Some other extra information based on the DFF.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll just see how do we show a DFF in the OAF page. Okay. So that we can understand some logic on that. So I'll consider one of the table. Okay. So these are table. So in this one, if you observe, so we have attribute 1 to 20, and there's a global attribute category as well as context also. And in this one, I have a
Okay.
primary key ID. Okay. And other one, the column name DFF description, just as a normal uh, column. But the remaining columns, other than the ID and description, other than the ID and DFF description, all the columns here are reflecting the structure of a DFF. Okay.
Okay.
We does not need to register. We does not need to register this table as a like a table in the AOL. Just a normal table what we created. Okay. But the column names are resembling the DFF structure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yep.
let's see. One minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this one, in sales order standard form, I have one of the DFF. So we'll use the same DFF in our OF page. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I have this particular DFF in the standard form. So we'll try to use the same DFF in the OF page. So here
Okay.
4 plus 3, 7, total 9 fields were enabled on this DFF. So
Okay.
go to application developer, flexi field, descriptive. Right.
Okay.
Okay. This is the one. So
Okay.
now here we just need to know some information. The basic thing is for DFF, what is the application short name, as well as what is the, we should not, we don't need the title, we require the name. So here from here, if you observe, so
Okay. We had attributes. Okay.
yeah, so we require this one.
Okay.
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 Yeah. So we'll try to use this particular table for the purpose of storing the information. Okay. So we'll create Evo Vivo, and then we'll create a page, and we'll just see how do we like how the DFF can be shown in the OF page and how it gets stored in the database also.
Okay.
So we'll create a entity object, new entity object. We'll generate a view also, Vivo.
Okay.
So assign the Vivo to the AM.
Okay.
And okay. Okay. Now let us
Okay.
create a page, the UI, new. So set the controller also.
So currently, do we have any data in our custom table stream?
Yeah, we have, but we can truncate that.
Okay.
So main region, and set the title.
AM.
Yeah, sorry. AM definition. Yeah. So now I'll just create header region. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this one, what we do is we'll just create 3 components. Okay, 3 items. So one is
Okay.
ID, and the data type we can just go with number. View instance is our DFF Vivo,
Yeah.
and the attribute is the ID. There is another column, DFF description. So view instance, DFF description. Now the last one is the important one, the flexi field item. So let's see here. Yeah, the flexi field is item. Okay, so click on new item. Now the item style will change to flex. Okay,
Yes.
so I'll just say DFF flex ID. Now here just say auto management. Okay, now comes so here we have some of the properties for the DFF. So application short name for our DFF is OINT, and the name we just consider, right? The name, this is the one, the
DFF
name,
name. Okay.
and the type is descriptive, and segment list So this behavior we can also control, but timing will just ignore this one. Display context field, it is true. Okay, so the only important thing is you just need to mention the name, application short name, and the type of your flexi field. So if it is KFF, we'll have an option called key flexi field. So for descriptive flexi field, it is descriptive, and for key flexi field, it is key. So the remaining normal, like whatever coding which we have been doing, the same thing we have to follow. So time being like by default, like when a user loads the page, it should have an empty record, so that like we have to call our AM to insert an empty record. So I'll just create a button also, new item, submit button, save button. So on save, we just need to save the data. So we'll just try the logic.
Save button.
Yeah. Okay. So in the process request, we have to write a logic to insert an empty record for the DFF. So we'll just go there. And also we require this one. We require empty row for this particular Vivo. I mean the row MPL for this Vivo. So click on this particular Vivo, click on Java and generate row MPL also.
Okay.
Apply and OK.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we'll go to AMyMPL. So let's write the logic. So vivo.insert row. Hey, sorry. It's create row, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so creating a row and setting row, and the reason why I'm using vivo.setMax with size is, so in this page we just created header region, so we always want to show the latest record. We want to just enter the data, right? We don't want to see what is the data historically.
Yeah.
Right?
So should we say row status initialized also see? Set new row status.
Yeah, we have to do.
So if we want to read the existing data stream, then how do we create?
If at all, if you want to read the data, then we see this particular Vivo is based on the entity, nothing but it will have the SQL query also, right? So we just need to execute it. Then you can use the row set iterator, and that's how we can get the data. So this is a SQL query based one, so it will have a SQL query. So without any where condition as of now, just need to execute, then we can get the data.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we
Yeah,
are
got it.
getting this particular error because this is not having the who column. Okay, so EY impl Java.
No.
So I'll just click on this one, implement methods.
Okay.
Okay, so remember the issue. So whenever you create any item manually, okay, and we have to set, and if that particular VO is based on entity object, we need to set the maximum length also. Then only it will work. Okay. So the DFF
Oh,
description length we have to set it manually as 150. So if at all if you
okay.
have created using a wizard, you will not face these kind of issues. Okay,
Okay.
that's the issue. And DFF flex ID, the flex VO of this one is null. So here we have not set the flex. See, just like one basic thing is we also need to understand from the exceptions. This will help us to learn more. If you observe
Okay.
flex VO of the flex being this null, so what does it mean? It means that we have not set the VO attribute for this particular bean. So we have this
Okay.
ID. So try to find out the component and check out the view instance property. So we have not set that one. Okay.
Okay.
So and any other one? That's it. Two errors. Let's see.
Oh,
So it's something. Okay. Yeah. So the first two columns are a DFF ID and description. I think we forgot to mention the prompt. That's the issue. These things.
yeah.
Okay. We have not
Okay.
mentioned the
Yeah.
prompt. So we are habituated with the, like a wizard option, right? So generally, we don't even bother to mention the properties. Sometimes, you'll face these kind of
Oh,
issues.
that's
Yeah. So wizard will help out, but sometimes, we'll forget the basics also.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now here, if you observe, by just observing the page, generally we cannot make it out. It is based on DFF or not. That's first thing. Okay, because by
Yeah.
observing these columns, like there's no chance. Maybe see the element name global data elements may resemble the DFF, but if you observe the remaining columns, there is no chance that you can say it's a DFF. Okay, now
Yeah.
what we do is, anyways, we'll just try to enter the data 6 test description, and here if you observe for Aadhaar number, PAN number, I have the for this, I mean the attributes of this DFF based on value set, and like it is having set of values, so that then
Oh,
it is displaying the LOV automatically. We does not need to configure anything here. Based on
okay.
the DFF
Okay.
setup, everything will work out automatically. Okay, so
Okay.
we'll just select some
Yeah.
values. So let's click on save. So PAN number, this number should be saved. Now we already had one record, so let's see that. So we should have the next record also, right? Can you see?
Yeah.
Line number 6,
Yeah.
and the column we stored only two values, right? So they'll be stored somewhere. Attribute 8 and 9,
Yeah.
right? So, and you can try with other columns also. Let us say. Click on save. Now we can just see the latest data also. Got it. A customer name, let's say the 1, 2, 3, all this stuff. Okay. So this is how the DFF works. And other thing also, let us say you have a page, but how do you know which is the DFF it is using? It is very difficult to get the page and get the XML and see it from there, right? So we have an option from the front end itself. Just click on about this page.
Okay.
So about this page generally displays all the components which are there in the page. Okay. Now here, can you see
Oh.
that something called DF FlexiFill reference?
Okay.
Right? And it tells
The
you,
name of.
yeah, it tells exactly what is the columns, how it is designed, everything. And click on expand all here. And here, yeah, can you see? It just displays the component as table layout. It will not tell this component as flex. Okay.
Okay.
So that is the issue.
Okay.
So we may not get exact. Let us say if your particular page is using multiple DFFs, then we cannot make it out which particular component is referring to which particular DFF. Okay. But at least we can know what are the DFFs used, and we can just try to dig out more to get the information. Now, once we have this information, we can easily find out from our instance, right, which DFF, which columns, all those things. Based on that, we can just correlate these set of items with those set of items from the instance. Okay.
So this page will tell us which DFF we are mapping to Steve, but it will not tell us which table we are basing this on, right?
The table, see. Yeah, this is a table, right? You can just click on this one. If you just click on this Vivo, it will show you the query, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it tells you the entity object. So if it is based on entity object, we know that like in this table you're storing the data.
Okay. Yeah.
So now, yeah. So this is how we can use it. And sometimes, you may have a requirement. Let us say, like you want to make a customer name as mandatory, or maybe other number as mandatory. Okay. So, but the client doesn't want to change the DFF. If the client changes this information at the DFF level, it is very easy. Let us say, if other number is made mandatory at the DFF structure level, that's it. We does not need to do any coding. But there are chances, like maybe if multiple application is using the same DFF and they don't want to disturb the legacy application business logic, then we have to go for CVO extension, or maybe then we have to go for Java logic to control the behavior. So now, so here comes the important part. If you observe, let us say I want to make Aadhaar number as mandatory. So first of all, we have to know which column Aadhaar number is referring to, right? So I think it is attribute 8. So, but here in the page, anyway, like from database, we know that this belongs to attribute 8. But in the page structure, so do you see any bean? Do you see any LOV bean for that? First of all, how can we control?
We don't have it. Yeah.
So generally, what we know is like if you can see the bean, you can just change the property. That is one logic. But for the DFF, because these components are generated at runtime, it is not something which is statically generated. These are generated dynamically at runtime based on the DFF structure what we mentioned in our item. So then how do we identify this particular component? So just observe here, click on view, click on source. Okay. So now here, word wrap. Now what we do is, so let us say I'll search for Aadhaar number. The coding which you are seeing in the notepad is totally HTML. Okay. So I'll just search for Aadhaar number. Now here it shows Aadhaar number, and then can you see here the ID as DFF Flex ID 5?
Okay.
So now it is Flex ID 5, and also observe in the page. So Aadhaar number is which it is starting from additional address, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Aadhaar number is a 6th item, right? And observe here, what is the DFF FlexiFill ID? Our DFF ID name is DFF Flex ID. Okay. So generally, the component sequence starts with 0. The component sequence starts with 0. So we have the Aadhaar number as 6th element, and that is the reason the bean ID of that component is DFF Flex ID 5. Clear?
Okay.
So that's how we have to identify. Either you can just open the open the page, If at all, if you have the page structure, get the page structure, and from there, for basic thing, what we need to know is at least we have to know DFF ID, because from the about this page you may not get this information. The only way you can get is you need to download the page, or
Okay.
you just search the page. You just search the page like this, so there are chance that you may get this information.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Now, so let's try some more thing. So in this one, you don't it doesn't need much Java coding, but we just need to call our DFF. This one, we need to find the, see now what is happening is the items are generated at runtime for this DFF ID. Okay, so now to control the behavior of our other LOV, then we have to use the instance of the DFF ID, not our web bean. Okay, let's see that. So OA flex, sorry, OA descriptive flex bean. All right, web bean dot find index child recursive, mention the bean ID. Okay, now we got the bean ID. Now the next thing is, so now we have to get the bean instance of our other LOV. So what you do, OA message. So our Aadhaar number is of type LOV input.
Okay.
And
Message
now,
LOB.
yeah, so the ID of this one is this one. So I'll just mention like this, webbean dot, not webbean, we have to mention this one, DFF flex ID bean dot find index child recursive.
Okay.
We can try multiple, sometimes some of the methods may not work in some scenarios. Let us say find index child recursive. So generally when you're working with extension, or it's best practice is always try to check if not equal to null. There's a chance that like
Okay.
you mentioned some particular name wrong, and like it will get into null pointer exception, right? Better always try to mention not equal to null so that it not have the issue of null pointer. Okay.
Set required is true, right? See.
Yeah, set request. Why it is?
And also see, after the OA descriptive flex bean, right? You wrote something called idbean dot process flex. So what is that, Sri? The second line.
Yeah, I'll tell. Defer flex ID 5 bean dot. Oh, set required is a string. It's not boolean. It's a string. Okay, some strange thing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, see, process flex is one of the method. Like if you're trying to set any component of the flex, we have to call this method.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let's try. So the major thing we have to understand is like how do we identify the component, and that's how it is.
Okay.
So it is not setting, right? It's not setting this one, right? Other number it did not make it as mandatory. So then what we have to know is, so first of all, we just need to know whether it entered this place or not.
Okay.
And other thing is, in this one, I told you, right, like there are some things which may not work here. DFF flex ID being set. In the set required, we have not set required here. In this one, in the DFF, like we had some properties, right? So we try to get the bean instance from this one, find index child recursive, right? So let's try other one. Find index child, this one. Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
still it is not working, and it entered if condition. So it means that it is having the bean instance, but yeah, but it is not setting this one, or at least try to set the value also. BFF flex bean dot set value. Yeah, there's something wrong with this one, but that's how it should work. Generally, like
Okay.
the way we have to identify is, maybe we can try with the text input component. Let us say now customer name, right? It is a one. So customer name is one.
Okay.
So
In page context dot com object.
yeah. No, nothing is working. I'll check it. So maybe small coding could be issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check that. So now we'll try to work on the KFF also. So in the KFF, so the KFF, the difference is like you'll just have a code combination ID, and the remaining segment information you'll not store in your tables, right? What you just store is a code combination ID. So that's how the table structure also should be. So in our case, okay. So this is one of the table, and this one, if you observe, I just have ignore the third column, but I just have the primary key and the code combination ID.
Okay.
So what we do is we try to use one of the GL FlexiField GL KFF and try to display the KFF in the OF page. So when a user selects any of the segment, it will just store only code combination ID in our custom table.
Okay.
So that's the logic. So let's see. So it is almost similar to this one, but the only difference is you have to have some extra information to be mentioned in the page. So click on new entity object. So okay, so we'll generate the Vivo, as well as we also require the row this particular getters and setters for the who columns. So
Okay.
in the Evo IMPL, we'll generate them. Assign the Vivo to the AM. Yeah, so now the web UI will just create a page.
Okay.
Just create a controller also. Okay, so in the main region we'll just create header region.
Okay.
Now we'll create text input for the purpose of ID, view instance,
Okay.
KFF and ID, and this one change it to number and give the ID. So generally this should be a sequence, okay? As of now we're just trying to enter it, but it should be a sequence. Now comes the important part. Click on new item. Now we'll change this one to flex and give the flex ID, KFF flex ID. Now we can mention KFF as prompt. Mention the view instance also, KFF view. Now change the type to flex and change the type to key. And here we have the application short name, the name, and we require one more thing called structure. So what we do is, first of all, just check out any of the KFF key segment. Okay. So what we do is we'll just try to use any of the accounting FlexiFill.
Okay.
Okay. Let us say we'll use the progress accounting.
Okay.
In this one, just observe what are the segments. So we have around 8 segments. Fine.
Okay.
So now in this one, the structure name is this one, right? Progress accounting is the structure name. Now make a note of this one. And what is application name? General ledger. So application short name is SQLGL. And we require the structure code. So this is just a FlexiFill title, okay? So we just need to go to key FlexiFill here. Now we need to get this code, okay? GL hash, this one.
Okay.
So this is a quite different one. Now go to the OF page. Now here application short name is SQLGL, okay? And name is GL hash, okay? Now, so we don't have any placeholder to mention the structure name, okay? So this should be mentioned only from the CO code. So here we have to write some logic for that particular purpose, okay?
Okay.
So here,
Okay.
let me get that information. Yeah, these 4 lines of code we have to write for the purpose of setting the structure, okay?
Okay.
And what is the structure one? This is our structure, process accounting flex, and here we have to get the bean ID of our this particular component, right? So make sure this component ID is correct. Yeah. Okay. First of all, get the KFF bean instance and then set the structure code. And here I'm setting the CC ID attribute name as code combination ID. So this is nothing but the attribute name of our Vivo instance. This is attribute name of the Vivo instance in which we want to store the code combination ID. Okay.
Okay.
And the remaining process just as it is. So let's have button also, save button. KFF is quite easy, okay. I mean to say, user generally you don't have any, you'll not have any requirement like enabling, disabling kind of thing. You just have the code and that's it. You want to show it or maybe save it. That's how we'll have it. But in DFF, in the DFF will come across many requirements like a validation of the component, validation of the country name, or controlling the special characters. You'll have a lot number of requirements in those kind of things. So I'll just use the same logic in it, KFF Vivo. and we require raw MPL for the KFF. So okay,
Okay.
so we'll just call this method from our CO. So the same logic. So only thing is this 4 lines of code is extra thing we have to use it to show the KFF in the
Oh,
page.
okay.
Yeah. So let's run it. So as of now I have 6 records. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So just this icon resembles the KFF. So remember this icon.
Okay.
And now let us say I'll just say 5 and now just click on this icon. It will show a pop-up where it will display the total KFF information, right? The 8 segment stuff.
Okay.
Click on search.
Okay.
Maybe you can select any of the existing stuff, existing codes. I'll just select this one. And you can also try
Okay.
to find out, maybe if you want to validate, we can also validate what is the code combination ID of this one. Click on select. Now just save it. Okay.
Okay.
So check the value for this one. Yeah, this one, right? Got created just now.
Okay.
And this one,
Real code combinations. Okay.
yeah, right? 148436.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how we can use a KFF. So in the KFF, we cannot do any customization. The only thing is, like a user will select that one and it will get stored.
Okay.
Okay. And
All right. Yeah.
recently, yeah, so recently I was just we got one more requirement in this one. So here it is just storing the code combination, right? But like we had a requirement to find out this particular segment, these particular segments.
Okay.
So I just, like got the code for that one. I just validated it worked. So I'll show you that also.
Okay.
So in this one, what we have done is get the KFF bean. So once you get the KFF OA key, see this was a bean instance, right? OA key flexifield, and after that there is one more wrapper called key flexifield. Key flexifield.
Okay.
In this one, we just need to find out. We just pass our like the flexifield key this KFF bean reference. Okay. So in this one, you can get each segment like this. Let us say if you want to get the first segment, we just need to mention this one KFF dot get segment of 1 and
Okay.
KFF dot get segment of 1 dot get value dot this one. So
Okay.
using this particular API, key flexifield is a API. You just need to pass your KFF bean reference, and from there you can get the segment information also. We can try this one. So let us say what I will do is this level of requirement you will not come across, but just understanding purpose.
Okay.
So now mention the bean ID. This is our bean ID. Okay. Now whenever I click on a save, it has to display the segment 1 value.
Okay.
So I'll just select 60, enter 66. Now click on search. Now here select, maybe now I'll select this one, 0900 is my segment 1, right? Just select this one.
Okay.
Now click on save. Once you click on save, I did not click yet. I'll clear the log. Now click on save. So, okay.
Did we get an error? See, it shows some error.
Yeah, let's see. DMO constant, acha. Do we already have the 66 or something? Yeah, the 66 is
Okay.
already there, right?
Okay.
See, out of 7 values, I entered 66, I re-entered again.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try. Maybe 10. 10. Okay,
Okay.
so in this one, if you observe, these are the things, right?
Okay.
The name is appropriation and the value is this one.
Okay.
So this is how we can get the segment level information also.
Okay.
Okay, so DFF I'll try to find out, and so the remaining AOL components, like we have concurrent program, workflow, business event, XML report. Okay, so these are 4 things which are remaining in the concept of this one, the AOL concept.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll continue those things in next class.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, T.